Karibu kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.
For most of my life, what I've always known is that the business of business is business. You buy something for 10, sell it for 15, unakula ile margin. Our guest today has taught me something else, something that's a little bit different, which is that the business of business is actually impact. She is the co-founder of Pherma Agri. She co-founded Adanian Labs. She's also one of the founding members of Tanzanian Startup Association. Our guest today, Daniella Kwayu.
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Daniella?
You are saying it perfectly. Daniella.
Okay.
Danny, for people who are really close to me. Danny. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to think of a seed being planted in the ground. Yeah? And hii mbegu ilivyopandwa inapitia misimu mbalimbali, unajua weather conditions mbalimbali. So there's autumn, summer, spring. Au kwa lugha nyepesi zaidi kuna msimu ambao kuna mvua nyingi, saa zingine ni kidogo ina rasha, saa zingine ni ukame. And this seed over 3 decades inazidi kunawiri, inazidi kukua. So the seed starts like a nice little flower, and then inazidi kukua, inakuwa mti, and then kuna ukame, and then inanyauka, and it's just about to die. El Nino inapiga.
Oh, yeah.
And other people are suffering and it's enjoying. And then after that, it goes again through different seasons. Jua, ukame, mvua, jua, ukame, over 3 different decades. Okay. And what happens is from the outside, you will see that this tree looks like it's going through a lot. You know?
Struggling.
Yes, it's struggling. Kuna saa inakuwa imependeza, ina maua, ina matunda. Then kuna saa ani bila hata pruning, imenyauka like it's about to die. However, what we don't see is what's happening beneath the ground, right? Throughout these 3 different decades, something that is consistently happening with that tree is that the roots just keep getting stronger and stronger,
deeper.
And stronger and deeper and deeper and deeper. And they are never phased. Can you relate with that story?
Sounds like you're talking about my life, but
it does?
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know,
yes.
Daniella ni nani?
I always stray away from these questions because it's very layered. But in a nutshell, on a personal level, I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a wifey. Very proud about that, by the way. And I am a friend, loyal friend, and passionate friend. Hopefully I'm a mentor. I'm trying to cultivate that. So that's on a personal level.
Okay.
Very proud of these things. On a professional level, I'm an economist. I am very proud of that one too. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a aspiring impact investor. And avid, passionate creator.
Avid, passionate creator.
And that has layers to that too as well, but yes.
Okay.
So yeah, those 2 kind of resonate with me.
Okay.
Do you want me to go diverse more into that?
I'm curious, what's an impact investor?
An impact investor is a person who's interested in investing in enterprises with the aim, and not sole aim, but the major aim is to create more impact in the community, in the society. So they're not very much driven on simply just profit making, as much as that is sustainability is part of the goal. I mean, you have to invest in things that are going to grow, they're going to scale, they're going to have returns, they're going to be revenue generating and all that. But impact is you have a part of you where you're very much interested in seeing this develop your community, be helpful in building a community in a very, if I'm not saying it right, but you're more invested in how this can be impactful to the community, to the young people, depending on where your focus is. It could be in the health space, it could be in youth, it could be in women.
So it's not for profit?
It's not for profit, but it's not only just for profit.
Okay.
There's humanity in it where you want it to actually make people's lives better. I want to improve people's lives, to create employment in that perspective. And I think that's where the world should be focused on.
Okay.
And I'm aspiring to be that.
Okay, that's nice. Is there a difference between that and organizations that do CSI, corporate social investment?
So it's CSR is it CSI you said?
So there's CSR,
yes.
But on a bigger scale, there are organizations who are looking at it as CSI. So instead of just doing activities for PR sake, you do activities that have an impact that's long-term on a particular community.
So the difference there is the corporate angle, the corporate side you're saying.
Okay.
With the impact investing is you're investing in businesses, and those businesses could be actual corporates or it could be startups, or it could be SMEs. And this word has been coined social enterprises, where these are people who are interested in who are creating businesses or entities that have social impact in the community. So social impact can be inasaidia or vijana wengi wawe employed, increase employment. It can be from a corporate angle. It comes that it has to also meet their corporate bylaws and bottom line of their corporate. But for an impact investor, you're looking at, is this business sustainable? And what kind of impact is it creating in the community? Is it from employment? Is it from inasaidia wa mama wawe more sustainable? An impact is relative to everybody. I can want more women to be more educated in healthcare support, but the business that supports it is a business level. Inajiendeleza. It doesn't rely so much on business model yake. It grows, it sustains itself, it can employ itself, it can run within itself. So what you're supporting is amplifying the impact.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if revenue and profit is not
the only objective.
If it's not the only objective, that I guess that would also mean whenever you want to consider investing in something, you would be open to like a 10-year break-even plan.
There's patience with impact, because you realize the biashara also has to run.
India.
But also in order for it to be more impactful and support more. Because, okay, so let's say you have a business and wewe unanunua from farmers and selling it to, let's say, hotels and restaurants. It's a common business model in the market right now. For an impact investor, they will come in and say, so the business works and it makes money and it's your revenue generating, but for it to be more impactful, we want you to source from these subset of women because they are the most underserved, they have the most need, and ukiwasaidia hawa wamama wataendeleza familia zao, the impact is, there's a trickle effect with that. So it's very intentional, and that's what I like about it. It's very intentional in the impact, but also it wants you to thrive and strive and to be revenue generating and to create money. And we live in a capitalist world, so you can't escape. Lazima watu wale. But if it's intentional, and can it also, while you're making money, can you support that subset?
That's very cool.
It's patient.
Yeah. It's patient capital.
That's exactly that. It's
okay.
patient. It's risky because it might not work the way you're steering that business, but that's the risk in investing.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you look at the business landscape, even for businesses that are not necessarily high impact, one of the biggest challenges that we have is raising capital, and part of that challenge is because it doesn't seem like there's enough patient capital. And so you meet potential investors and they have expectations that feel a little bit unrealistic. So where does one find patient capital?
It can be argued that Tanzania does have, in comparison to all other types of capital that are out there, we do have quite a bit of patient capital happening in the market. There's a lot of grants that startups can target. There's a lot of impact investors in and out of the country. So it's there in comparison to venture capital funding, which is very competitive. And there's few and far in between in the market. So. Okay, we might need to go back there. But so you said patient capital what?
Inapatikana wapi? Tunapata wapi hiyo mitaji ambayo washikaji wako tayari kuchukua 7% for 20 years? and wait 20 years or 5 years for break even?
So the patient capital iliyopo sasa hivi in Tanzania is very much grant-based. Yes. And grant-based is, it's very much you meet these impact criterias. Kama wewe una biashara inauza from here, you meet these criterias, this is the grant. And it has you don't have to return that back. And that's what has been existing in the market. And a lot of companies and startups that I've seen have been benefiting from that, myself, my own included. But it's a crutch because ideally if a company and a lot of commercial investors, by commercial investors, these investors who are looking for you to really, you're serious about your business, you're growing, you're revenue generating, they want to get a return of 10x, 2x, 3, 5x. By 5x, I'm saying 5 times the return while you invest.
Yes. They put in $1 million, they would like to see 5.
They want to see 5.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been seen in the market. So Reliant, company nyingi has been in the grant space. And it's a crutch because in Tanzania, we're not pushed to be more commercial because all our money we're getting is...
the Buddha.
So why should you do that?
Yeah.
But if you want to grow your business and be competitive in the commercial market, by commercial meaning you see other big startups raising significant amount of money, you have to be competitive, you have to be sustainable, you have to show scale, especially in the startup space. So that is hard to come by. So tumekuwa boxed very much in this space. And there are a few venture capital companies that are coming in and they're really trying to make startups and more companies more commercial. We see a lot of those investments in bigger, more established companies who have graduated from that stage, bado mdogo sana, where you're dependent on grant. And
then they become sustainable eventually?
They become sustainable eventually. So Zipo, but it's also a crutch a little bit, because if we only have these guys in the market, then how are we going to grow beyond that and really attract? You see companies raising $5 million. We see the Nalas, we see Ramani. These are exemplary companies we want to emulate, but we have to kind of evolve from that reliance tuliokuwa nayo sasa hivi. So impact investor is one avenue because it sees your sustainability, kwamba kweli you're revenue generating, you're able to sustain, unalipa watu efficiently, unakuwa taratibu and gradually. And it rewards you off of that and helps you scale. So there's that angle, that investment category, if you will, that really can help companies in Tanzania really to grow beyond just the grant space.
Okay, so in many ways you'd be operating like an NGO until you're able to stand on your own feet.
So the impact investor is actually the other way around. You have to operate as a business. They will just pull out the impact out of you.
Okay, so itakuwa ni vigezo vya hiyo grant.
Yes. Exactly. So a grant is, depending on who's your grantee, criteria is like, but with impact investing, what I like about it is biashara yako has to be making sense kwanza.
There has to be a business model that makes sense.
A model that is sustainable, ambayo inakuwa ni endelevu. And then what they do is, it's almost they're rewarding you almost for, and then pulling out, can you now target this audience that will increase your impact? And I think it's the way we should go as a country.
It's nice.
As the startup scene. And then
so fanya biashara, but make sure you're also doing some good.
Give back a little bit, but sustainably. So it's not charity, but it's sustainable growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on average, how long do these businesses take before they kind of stabilize?
So that depends on the kind of business you're in and the industry you're in and the challenges of the market where you're in.
Okay.
Tech startups wanazile, it's called the valley of death almost. And not to scare anyone, but yes, it's there. Okay, build your startup, kuna ule muda ambayo you need to do a lot of work where you're burning cash. And this is where now venture capitals really come in because they're taking the risk kwamba uko at this valley, but your business has promise. And if once you pass this valley, you're going to go to 10x, your scale is going to be exponential. And so there's a specific investor for that space. And then there's impact investor who they see you kwamba you're not there yet. You're not even maybe profit generating. Maybe you're revenue generating. You're not profit making. But with this push, it can push you to that age where you're profit making or revenue generating. And also it can help you target an audience that will target that impact. So kila investor category has criteria where they operate in, and they complement each other, because huyu akiishiwa mwingine ana pick up. Because once you're now scaling, that's where VC comes in, because that's where they want exponential growth.
So I guess some of the challenge is exposure then.
Yeah.
Exposure to knowing where to go to get these kinds of, or meet these kinds of investors.
That's the biggest, I think Tanzania, and also in my day job, that's where we're really focusing on, in exposing that there's this angle, this category of a company called a social enterprise. Who's the social enterprise? How does it work? How does it operate? Where can it go for funding? Where can it go for support? Because the more companies, because it can be said kwamba Tanzania wengi every business ni an impactful business, kwa sababu we're developing, tunalipa kodi, tunajenga barabara au madaraja makubwa. Tuna wakina X, wakina Black hapa, tunakuwa. But what impact investors want you not to invest, not to just watu wawili. That's impact, yes. But for you to be a business, you need to scale has to also be applied to it. So they really try to bring out, you have to be sustainable, but you have to also scale. And then how do we also make what you're creating to benefit the underdeserved? So it depends also with the impact investor. Anapenda, you go in focus on the health space. There's health-focused impact investor. There's climate change-focused investors. Kuna agriculture is our biggest sector in the country. So
there's a lot of money in agriculture.
There's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, also it employs 60% of our country. So there should be a lot of money in agriculture.
Okay, that's very interesting. You're very passionate about it.
Yes, I'm going to say that. Yes, I'm very passionate. It's good. It's a good industry, and you can see people growing. You can see businesses growing. You can actually tangibly see the impact. Huyu mama alikuwa anauza kiasi hiki, ameuza kiasi hiki, ameanza kuemploy wa vijana watatu. You can see their lives change. It's a rewarding space.
But Daniella, you're also like a serial entrepreneur. Unafanya vitu vingi. How many businesses have you started? Not impacted, started.
A few.
A few?
A few.
Is it like 5 to 10 or 3 to 5?
No, not 10, but a few.
Is it 5 to 10 or 3 to 5?
Maybe 3 to 5. If I'm really, I haven't listed them down, but yes, they could be 3 to 5.
And where did you get this entrepreneurial streak? Is it where you grew up?
I blame my mom, my mother.
Okay.
I'm not blaming her, but yes, I blame her. She taught us through her and her life experience, resilience from a very, very young age.
Okay.
Watching her go through, and we've had a very interesting upbringing and rough at times.
Okay.
But she's been the pillar who has taught me resilience, perseverance, being strong, being soft as well. And being very a joyful person in the midst of adversity. She's gone through all of it. Okay. But is seeing how she is even now with people after going through all of that. And she's built a company as a single mother of 3 kids. And 30 years now down the line, it's a thriving business, and she's a strong king, as I like to call her. So, I mean, I had the best example. Yeah. And also she's very, very tough on me. Yeah. Which I think I needed because I'm also the only girl in my family. So it was you have very 2 brothers? Easy come to mama. Eh?
You have 2 brothers?
I have 2 younger brothers.
Younger? Oh, ndo kwanza?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it was very much, I want to sharpen you to be strong. And yeah, I mean, I think it worked for the best. It was the kind of rearing I needed. So yeah, I mean, I think she was the only North Star I can say that was the one who was like, this world's not free. I mean, look at my life, meaning her, but you can still make joy and make companies and make impact and grow your businesses and be a powerful woman in the midst of that. And
Amen.
Amen to that.
Yeah. I was raised by a single mom too.
Right.
They are kings. Empowering? It is empowering. Yeah. Baba alikuwa wapi?
Baba alifariki when I was 9 and my brothers were younger.
Okay.
So yeah, she at a very young age, and on her part, I think also because she was a young single mother who was in this bliss of marriage, and then your husband passes away, and then so she had to toughen up and buckle up. Yeah. Nakuwa really, really strong. And I think watching that, I think out of all my brothers, I was the one nilimwangalia all the adversity she's gone through it. And at points I had to try to step up to be stronger because she can only be as strong. So I think that really built me. I think 99% of me is coming from her there.
I can totally relate.
Are you the first one?
Karibu kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.
No, I'm the third actually. So mimi wa mwisho with 3 boys.
Mtoto wa mama.
In theory, not so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not so much. Can you tell me about a moment in your life when you were most afraid?
Oof. Which one? Most afraid. There was a time, this is a personal story, but yeah, I'm happy to share it. But yeah, it was the time I was the most afraid. It was tuliingiliwa na majambazi nyumbani.
Ooh.
Well, it happened twice, so there's
Same
multiple.
house?
Different houses, but what felt like similar.
Same jambaz?
I hope not.
Okay.
Man, that would be tough. No, yeah, several times. And this is why I'm saying I drew my strength from her. And it was the toughest because this is us not having a dad. And it's me and I think I was like 13 or something the first time. And the second time was like 20-something. And this is our pillar of the house, right? Mama. Yeah. We call her king because she's the mama and the baba and the auntie and the shangazi. We go to her for everything. So when that happened, and you see how life is fragile, how one day you could be here, one day you could be gone, and what you take for granted, and then you see how people can draw strength out of literally nowhere. So that was pretty much the scariest moment of my life, but also the most empowering because you just see this woman who's it's graphic. But yeah, it was bloody, it was messy.
Walikuja na mapanga.
Walikata mapanga on her hand.
Walikuwa wanatafuta nini? Hela.
I mean, the same things. People go in houses looking for money, looking for wealth. Not that we had any. Like I said, Ikoni mama, single mother of 3 kids. So she's already struggling with just raising us. And so yeah, it was tough. Very, 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 very scary. But I think one of the major pillars that built me, just also seeing her go through that, be as fragile as possible and vulnerable, but also alivyotoka walivyokimbia, long story short, she came up and she started looking at us and I'm like, are you guys okay? And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Are you okay? So it built me in, yeah, it was tough, but...
Unasema walikimbia?
The circumstances in both events are very, very long story. But yeah, we had mlinzi who unfortunately naye alifariki kwenye hiyo accident the second time. But yeah, he unfortunately passed. But he really was, aliwatishia, walivyokuwa nje ya geti, walikuwa wana shoot guns all over the place. But yeah, in the between, they snatched the purse, not knowing pochi yake ilishaibiwa the week before. So it had nothing in it. So they didn't really get much out of it. But yeah, she was exemplary, strong, like medal worthy in my books. So yeah.
What's the best advice she's ever given you?
Oh man.
In your opinion?
So she's a very tough love woman.
Okay.
So her best advices are very like, buckle up. Life is not free. And
life is not free.
You have to earn it. You have to draw in it. You give what you get.
Okay.
But also, if you want something,
reap what you sow.
In a not more detrimental way like that. But very much of, it's not free. So what you want, you have to really fight for it and go for it. And so my dad passed when I was 9 years old, and then she was left with this company that was practically almost dying. And she was like, I got to feed my kids. So they
were doing business together.
She was actually, I believe, She was working on a job and he's the one who ran the business.
Okay.
So she had to really relearn the business now and grow this company from scratch. And like I said, it's 30 years in the business. So I'm like, talking about from nothing, started from the bottom. Now she's my example of that. And
Do you think she was tougher on you than your brothers?
I'd like to think so, and I would expect so.
Okay.
Because I also saw the most of what was happening. So it was very easy for me to crumble being the girl and just like buckle up and just be fragile. But she was like, this world is not for the fragile. You have to grow up and not grow up in the tough sense, but maisha yanaendelea. Inabidi unyanyuke, inabidi utengema, you have dreams. They cannot end here because this happened. And I watched through her, that she didn't stop. That happened. She could have easily just been like, Basi, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Like, this just...
But moms are like that, Annie.
I know, right?
Annie?
I hope to be that someday.
Yeah,
that's really good.
When you look back, you're like, how did she do this?
Oh
all of
God.
this. But now you only have, you're dealing with 2 of 20 that she was dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's listening. You're a trooper, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Random question.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is the one thing you believe in that most people don't agree with you on?
I believe in tough love.
You believe in tough love? Kwani, what is tough love? How do you define tough love?
A lot of people, they like to victimize themselves.
Yes, they do.
Things are happening to them. Things they're undeserving, and as much they could believe it, and it could be true that they're undeserving. I think part of the upbringing we just talked about, it's not fair either way. You just have to power through. And I believe in that to a point where sometimes it's at my detriment, and it affect me in the wrong way, but it's a belief I have, like, maisha yanaendelea, you're not saying you're not special. You could be special. It's very much of kuwa na grit. Have that grit. Nothing is happening to you. You're not a victim of any situation. Even if in reality you could be a victim.
Yeah.
But don't victimize yourself because you are a victim. I don't know if that makes sense.
Ish.
Just because nakuonea usioneke.
Usikubali. Usikae kinyonge.
Usikae kinyonge. Because I don't think life is for the nyonge. And it could be, but I don't want to accept that. And I think maybe that's, for some people, I would have these, they'd give me scenarios. Wananiambia Daniella, nimepitia hili, nimepitia hili. And I'm always coming with like, yes, and then?
What did you do?
What happens now? How do you come over it? And then I've made enemies of that because they're like, you think I want this for myself? And it's a whole pity party. And it's for some people, that's what they need. But I was raised off of, and not raised, and I've seen it work in my life in ways of just keep it moving. Take the lesson from that, and there's no wrong, no right. Like, what's wrong has been done is wrong, but you can make right out of it.
Yeah.
So I think in my life, I've seen that work for the good, for people who are receptive, and the people who are like, you're wishing bad on me. You think I want this for myself. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, not.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
You don't like how women complain that sometimes when they speak to guys, they just want an ear and not suggestions of what to do next? Are you that guy, that girl who's like that guy? Okay, sawa, kwa tunafanyaje?
Yes. Nimeshaambiwa, and I've had very recently, actually, kuna watu wameshaniambia, I don't need you to give me answers or solutions. Because I'm like, okay, so are we going to wallow in this space? And we're going to be on this tear pool and just be like, okay, so he hurt you, and then sasa tunalia leo. And then I'm like, okay, so what do we do? Let's have a tequila shot and let's go out and do some stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So
in your own personal relationships with the partner, has it ever been a problem?
Of being...
You being tough love, them not getting it so much?
Yes.
I mean, with friends, sure.
It has.
A partner?
It has, but also because I've realized now to be sensitive to and just be an ear. Don't add anything. Maybe they're not ready to hear that yet. You might have all these, and then tunafanya nini sasa, ideas and solutions. It's just, sometimes people just want to vent. Just be okay with venting. I'm the one, I need a solution. Tukisha vent and then tunafanya nini. How we solve this. Some people don't want solutions. So that's also a lesson for me. Okay, this is not, your input is not needed here. Just listen. And sometimes they have their own solutions. They just don't, hawaja come to terms with it yet. So I'm learning that as well. Because, I mean, not everything should have a solution, maybe. And maybe it shouldn't come from me. Maybe.
Yeah. Sometimes it's all about timing.
That too.
Yeah.
I'm learning that as well.
Yeah. So, in the context of thinking about things not going well and making sure that you are not a victim of it, can you share with me an experience where things didn't go as planned?
Many times actually, but specifically. So for example, when we started Pherma is one of the companies that I was a co-founder of. We had this dream of creating a crowdfunding platform for agriculture. It was a dream that we were like, it works.
What was the model like?
Crowdfunding. So imagine you're going to a wedding. Harusi zingi tunachangishana hapa. That's a form of crowdfunding. Like, the purpose for that is kwa ajili there's an event, there's an outcome, there's an event unaenda to participate, right? The crowdfunding we were looking to really create was, you're creating, ni kama investing, but it's in debt. Unamkopesha yule. So tunachangisha labda, this investment is a million Tanzanian shillings. Lakini we realized maybe not everyone can just do 1 million pale. So we're disintegrating that money kwa labda laki moja. Na invest, and then.
So what am I investing in?
You're investing in a portion of the investment. So let's just ng'ombe. Ng'ombe, and tunataka kuinvest kwenye ng'ombe kwa ajili ya nyama.
Nyama choma. Yes.
It gets people there when you really contextualize it like that. So huyu ng'ombe ni tunamnunua kwa 300,000. Very rough idea. 300,000. Tutamlisha, tutamkuuza mpaka anakuwa kwa itatumia labda 500,000. 800,000 hiyo. Tukija kumuuza kwa ajili ya nyama itatoka 2,000,000. Kuna investment hapo, kuna return hapo ya 1.2 million imebaki. Your 1.2 million, hiyo ni return investment ambayo inakuwa split to all the investors waliona nini. In other markets outside Tanzania, these are normal. Kuna watu wana invest mashamba ya kokoa, like big investments, not even just ng'ombe moja. But we wanted to really bring it in Tanzania kwa sababu tuna culture ya kuinvestiana. Yani kuna culture ya kuchangishana.
Tunachangishana tayari.
It's already there.
Yeah.
Now, come to realize, this was a dream and we had these big assumptions kwamba hiki kitu itafanyika Tanzania, tunakopeshana wenyewe, yani, but in real life, in Tanzania hatujawahi kukopeshana for kudaiana kwamba utanirudishia return. Ukisha kwa ajili ya harusi mimi nakuja kula tu kwako tumemalizana. Sio kwamba inabidi unirudishie return. Na hiyo kurudishana return tunashikamana pale. So it has to be regulated so that unamprotect yule ana invest, ili yule ambaye anachangisha awe liable na ile investment, kwamba mimi huyu ng'ombe kweli yupo, kweli atakuuzwa, kweli na akifa kuna mitigation kama ni insurance, kama ni nini. All of these are, it's inaitwa a debt form of investment or crowdfunding. That was not prevalent in Tanzania then when we were starting.
Which years then?
This is 2018.
Okay.
Bado tulikuwa hatuna hii investment structure. Hata Tanzania, the government ilikuwa haijai recognize hii kitu. So we were kind of just like, let's be the lone wolf who goes and shows them that this can be done. I don't want to say we failed, but also we failed in our assumptions of this model. Kwamba kuna a lot of steps that need to happen for this model iwe acceptable ki Tanzania, iwe acceptable kwa government yenyewe, kwa sababu hutaki kupelekwa kwa sababu unajua kuna mali za watu Tanzania, our economy, we need to protect our investors.
Yeah.
So where we failed, I'd like to say we failed, is we did not plan ahead in realizing that this is not something that takes time to change people's mind, the government to create policies around it, to create infrastructure around it, ili waielewe watairegulate vipi. Kama sasa hivi ukienda DSC, Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, unaweza ukainvest hata $100,000. Hiyo structure ipo tayari, the format and everything, lakini kibiashara ya crowdfunding, it was not there.
Is that the same? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Is that the same?
I'm listening and I'm hearing, is that the same thing ambayo ilimtokea yule mshikaji wa kuku?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
We didn't want to go there because we didn't want our name to be the reputation of the company and name. And also tulikuwa ni vijana, tulikuwa waoga sana.
Yeah.
So was another thing. The fear was paralyzing for us. We were like, we'd rather stop. Tuwafuate wahusika, to present this model and see. So that's why I say it was a failure, because the product tulikuwa introduce kwenye market ambayo ilikuwa haiko ready yet. So as a startup, unajua startup, the space iko very fast. Yani inabidi uende, the pace ya startup is very fast.
Yeah.
For this model ambayo unataka government to create policies, these policies are not created overnight. So it failed in recognizing kwamba this is not the right time for this model in Tanzania. And there's a lot more infrastructure ambayo inabidi itengenezwe for kitu kama hiki make sense. It took it 4 years, I think. Sasa hivi ndo kwanza guidelines at crowdfunding ndo zimeanza kuwa. So imagine 2018, this is 5 years now. Bado the infrastructure is still being built. So we failed in recognizing the timing of when to enter the market with this model. The idea is still very sound.
Yeah.
Kuna kilimo is our biggest sector.
Yeah.
Kuna wakulima wengi sana.
Yeah.
Funding,
I think it's a dope idea.
I still think so.
It's a very dope idea. Unajua kwa mfano,
so.
Hata watu ambao hawafanyi kilimo wanatamani kufanya kilimo.
Exactly.
Changamoto ni kwamba jinsi wanavyofanya kilimo, wanafanya kilimo cha simu.
Yes.
Hey, umepalilia?
Ewa.
Hebu tumia picha.
Exactly.
So instead of doing that, maybe just invest in somebody or an institution that's a little bit credible, a little bit regulated.
Yes.
And then
so that credibility, regulation, structure, institutionalizing it.
Yeah.
That was not there yet. It still is very much developing. So we failed in recognizing the right time to come in with this model.
Yeah.
And it's still very viable. I mean, I think anyone who tries to go right now, CMSA, the capital markets who are regulating this, they're very, very open, and they've been very open and very accommodating to us. To crowdfunding, they created guidelines. So tunaenda, it's just pace nayo ni tatizo, lakini tunafika. As a country, we can't expect this to happen overnight. Yeah.
For most people, failing at something can be very emotional. Personally, I remember I failed in my first business venture at like 18, 19-ish.
That's good for you.
I was so depressed. That was the first time ambayo sasa nimeondoka nyumbani na nikarudi nyumbani. Kutoa taarifa, nikafika, nikaingia chumbani, and I slept for like a whole week. I just slept. I don't know what was going on, but it was like,
Shut down. Yeah.
In your experience, how do you deal with the emotional aspect of believing in something so much that you're like, let's not talk about, I fuck it away.
Karibu kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.
So it depends on what stage of my life I was in that space.
Okay.
So my first initial failure when I was turning 21, I really wanted to create a clothing brand. Inaitwa Nature. Nature.
Oh, Nature. Necha.
Necha.
Okay.
For those who, oh my God, remember this time of my life. Nyumbani tulikuwa tuna tailoring mat. Mama alikuwa kuna mafundi wanakuja wanashona nguo, alikuwa anauza back then. And I was just creating clothes. Just naenda nampa kitenge, nampa tengeneze hiki hapa, nampa mchoro, tengeneze hiki hapa.
Uko unachora?
I don't think I was a good drawer, but they got it.
But
I
you
was
had
good
the
at
idea.
explaining. Yeah, the idea and kumwelezea inabidi iwe hivi, sketi iwe hivi, lakini wewe unshazoea kufanya sketi hivi, lakini weka hivi. Yeah, that type of. And I kept getting a lot of people ordering, like, what is that? Can I? So I created Necha, which was pretty much traditional clothing modernized. So we were creating vitenge outfits and stuff, but in a very modern way, basically trying to make people feel pride in wearing them on a regular basis. So kwenye maharusi or just when you're wearing vitenge. It was that kind of idea. We really went far because we did a fashion show. We did, we got sponsorships and stuff like that. Now, the day the fashion show was happening, this was my biggest launch. This was my big launch of Necha in the market. I think this picture is the fashion show. We invited so many people. The week after, naenda shule. I'm going back to school. There's no way you're telling mama yangu mchaga wangu jamani naenda mama naomba niache hii shule ambayo ushalipa school fees. Nifanye hii kitu. To me that was crushing because I felt like I had a momentum. Nilikuwa nimebuild tumeanzisha we had sold so many clothes. We did a t-shirt line that sold out really well. We had this fashion show that we had creating from scratch ourselves. We got sponsorships. We got people believing in the vision and people. The fashion show was a great success. And then the minute after the fashion show, wiki inayofuata, napake mabegi naenda shule.
Shule ni high school chuo?
Ilikuwa chuo. It was crushing for me because because it's like you found something. Yes, it was not there yet. It was growing. It was a momentum. Like, ni kama umeshaanza roll jiwa chini ya kwenye slope. Lishaanza kuzunguka lenyewe. And then unaambiwa hapana. Transition lingine. That was crushing. And I think I cried a lot. But I also was very young. My ability to understand, in hindsight, my parents and what they were trying to build in me, what foundations they were trying to build in me before. Sikuelewa, nilikuwa nataka tu biashara yangu it makes sense. Now, fast forward, Pherma, when the crowdfunding didn't work, I was not hurt as much as I was in the beginning. And the reason, because granted, maybe I was older, but also there was a time I had a hindsight of understanding why Necha would not have worked then, hata kama ile gudumu ningeendelea kuroll down the road. I didn't understand what my strengths were. Sikuelewa what I'm really good at. I knew I liked what I was doing, but what exactly in what I was doing ilikuwa inanifanya it makes sense. I realized I don't like operations. I really don't.
Okay.
I like the creation process, which means I needed somebody, a team, to help meet the sides that I was not doing it.
Right. Like the day-to-day. The
day-to-day. I'm great at this part, but this is not the only part that runs a business. In Abidi, you need a marketer, you need an operations person, you need a team, you need a village.
Yeah.
Like, kama kunikuza mimi, you need a village. That's the baby. You need to raise it. It needs a village. So with Pherma, I realized there's setbacks, and setbacks are there for a reason. You can pause and recalibrate what worked, what didn't work. So crowdfunding ilivyoingia, when we introduced crowdfunding, we realized we needed government intervention. So with the team I had the hindsight of getting advisors to tell me, this is not going to be an overnight thing. Pivot. Huyu mwingine ananiambia, this is a savings grace. You don't need crowdfunding right now. Your business ambayo ita sustain the crowdfunding is not strong enough. So I relied very much on my team, which I didn't have in the Necha days. So even the blow of it not making sense or failing didn't feel like I was failing myself. It felt like, kwanza kuna vitu vingine kaa 10 hujavifanya ili make sense. Kwa hata inge make sense hapa ungefeli. So I had that hindsight, and I had that team that they really shaped me and made you look at the silver lining in the obstacle. I believe every no is a lesson, every no is a redirection from God. So it gave me, and what we've built now is even stronger. So even at the Sabi crowdfunding we introduced in Pherma, it's a very strong product now because we've de-risked every aspect ambayo ingefanya ile kitu fail. So back then, it felt like you don't want me to succeed. Now it felt in Pherma time, it felt there's aspects hujajiandaa bado. Hata ingekuja hii usingeweza kuimanage. So it was a redirection. For the lack of a better word, it was a redirection. And I embraced it better. So I think age helped me. And I guess emotional and mental maturity helped me. But also the team I had around me was very, very vital in giving me a different perspective of life and come back.
Do you have the same team?
No, but I've maintained a similar structure of a team.
Okay.
People who tell me the truth, people who are empathetic to me and whatever emotional state I'm in, but also still give me the tough love I require because I still need the,
Okay.
I still have a very strong similar team, which is I'm very, very grateful for.
How do you manage having a day job and having so many mishes pembeni?
That's tough.
Like, how do you balance your time?
What I've learned is a very, very intricate art of delegating and also knowing exactly what you are good at and what you are not, and when to let go of the reins. Nimeona a lot of companies, we want to do everything. Sisi ndo marketer, sisi ndo entrepreneur, sisi ndo financier and everything. And if you can do all of these, you can be the jack of all trades. By all means, this makes sense. But when you're creating a business, and also if you want to create a business and you want people to invest in, people to put money and vouch for you and your company, you need to really have a really strong team and to understand where you're strong at and where you're not, and who can complement where you're not strong. With the duo that I have with my brother, which is my co-founder, is
Of Pherma?
Of Pherma, and pretty much everything.
Okay.
At this
Nice,
point
nice.
is quite strong in the sense of naelewa exactly where I'm good at, naelewa exactly where he's good at. I know where his shortcomings are, and he knows exactly where my shortcomings are. He's not afraid to tell me that, by the way.
What are you good at?
I'm a very big picture thinker.
Okay.
I can roadmap it. Ukiniambia an idea sasa, I can tell you where 5 years where you can get.
Okay.
Tunafika wapi and how to get there.
So you're the visionary.
I guess you'd say that.
Okay.
Also, strategy is very good. It comes very easy for me. And finance. Now, operations. Day to day, bringing that, I feel like I'm a balloon, bringing that balloon down to earth and being like, okay, tunaanza hapa, tunaenda hapa, tunafika hapa. Tukifika hapa, ndo hiyo vision yako itangia hapa, tutafika hapa. I needed that. Kwa sababu unaweza nikawa in my head, nikawa balloon, niko in the air. And I'm great at networking. But I need somebody to bring that down to earth and contextualize and be like, Sasa, in reality, this is what's going to look like. Leo tutaanza hapa, tutafika hapa. And I needed that. And I think the biggest advantage I have is him, my brother, because he's very much on the ground, realistically mapping day to day type of how we move. And it takes both. It takes two tango. I'm the one who's been like, yes, najua uko hapa, but look at this bigger picture and then tell me how that works for you. And then I would be up there and he's like, I get it. Shuka hapa. So I think that complemented our work and made us very, very strong. We butt head a lot. Yani sisi tushanuniana kaa mara 10 kwa wiki. But I know he means it in the best intentions. It's to build this together. And he knows I mean the same. It's just personalities, it's not clash. So we mitigate that.
Does he also have a day job?
No, so he's fully on the companies. Yes.
What are your thoughts about people who believe in order for your thing to succeed, you have to be all in?
You do.
You do?
To an extent, you do.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was all in. And not in the beginning, I still am. I quit my job in 2018. We quit everything and we're like fully dive into these ideas. And we drove them in. I think I joined back employment last year. And you do need that full-time dedication. You do need, and also even an investor who's putting money into you. If you're ever going to somebody, kumwambia naomba invest in my business, and you're telling them, actually, I'm half there, half not. you wouldn't expect them to, because they want your full dedication, because they're risking it for you.
Yeah.
So for us, it was vital to where the business is right now. What I realized then, part of those self-realization later on, is at some point, the business needed room to breathe, and it cannot sustain everyone. Meaning, lijua kabisa. Ikafika a time I was like, I'm more of a burden at the point, and it needs the on the ground. And it needs now what to on the ground. The strategy, big level thinking, imeshafanyika. It needs sasa tufanyika.
To execute.
Let's just execute. And I think that is where I was like, I'm willing to let go of the reins and let the execution happen. And not put ego, not put myself in there or involve myself and detangle kabisa myself out of it, so that the business can actually grow. And I think the best decision I've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I told you a story about a seed and going through different experiences, and you said you could relate. Which part did you relate with the most?
I think crumbles of seeds have been kind of all through my life. It starts with my mom. I think for me, all roads lead to Mama Daniella.
Yeah.
It starts with her. She sowed the seed of entrepreneurship, I think, in both of us. That was the seed. The resilience came from her in terms of keep it going. There's no quitting. Who are you quitting? Where are you quitting to go? Like you love this. You love this. It's your passion. Keep at it. 10,000. I believe in the 10,000 hours. So it takes 10,000 hours. You are still in our 2,000.
There's a very deep truth to that.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So there's that, and the seed of so every turn we came through, I think I attribute it to the people I have around me. Everybody has been let me put this way. Every aspect, every problem we've encountered in the entrepreneurship problem, it's the people who've been around to realize, it takes the people around you to know, first of all, who you are. Wanakujua Daniella kama nani au kama wewe is.
The people around you mean the team?
The team, the support structure, wanaokujua.
Yeah.
So for me, the people who knew me, they really realized, they might not understand the business, but they realized you need a break.
Okay.
But because they know me as Daniella, like you're tired, you need a break. Here they push me through, be like, I know you're tired, but push. So those are, I call those seeds because they're the ones that kept me growing, and they kept rejuvenating me back into the struggle. I call it the struggle. But it's been very impactful. I think also it depends on the type of love you receive. Like I said, I receive very well in tough love because I kind of fight through things. Not necessarily the best thing, but they realized that's the kind of support I needed to keep through. So they kept sowing that and be like, don't stop, keep going. You're good. You're doing the right things. Pumzika leo. Like they knew me.
That's a blessing.
It honestly, it really is. It really is. It
entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely.
It is the solely loneliest job you're ever gonna have, because unless people really understand your vision and what you're trying to do,
it's
you're
all
alone.
in your head. Yeah,
you're alone. So I'm grateful that the people around me, they may not understand the journey, but they knew me. So they knew when I was tired, when I needed to stop. They knew where I'm making excuses, especially the making excuses one, the procrastination. They were like, "Unazingua, kapumzike dakika tano, get back into it." But they knew me. They knew. So it's good to have people who really understand you, because they may not understand your vision or your journey or how you're going through this. But wakikuelewa wewe wanajua muda fulani wewe ni upumzike, muda fulani you fight. And I have great friends for that. I'm really
So Daniella, as somebody who is an entrepreneur, mjasiri wa mali. Lakini pia I understand you're a co-founder at Daniel Labs, right? And this is a place where essentially startup founders get nurtured, get exposed to different kinds of opportunities, from learning, capacity building, mentoring, and funding, of course. Sindio? Kwa kile unachokijua na kwa vile unavyoviona, because you have a blessing where you can also learn through other people's mistakes as you're also mentoring them. What's the biggest challenge ambayo most founders face, especially during the first 3 to 5 years of their business?
Wow. Okay. That's very interesting. One of the things I've seen, and I think I faced this once only myself. So you face the problem and then you come see it in guess you get third dimension, I guess. We get married very much to the idea we have in our head of this company or whatever we're creating. Sema, kwa mfano, if I was very, very stuck in the crowdfunding, ingekufa pale pale. Tulipokwama. And not realizing this whole startup space is about also how quick you pivot, how quick una-identify ile pale, there's a challenge. Okay, quick, you move. You find a different way, a different route. And maybe that changes your business entirely from what you intended.
Sometimes, yeah.
And sometimes it changes just a little aspect of your business. But it's you being ready for that change. Second is many startups I've seen, they want to maintain the entirety of their company. Wanavyoanza mpaka wanakofika.
Nataka kumiliki kila kitu? Or what do you mean?
The startup space, the investments you get, they're going to come in terms of debt and equity. By equity meaning you have to give up a part of your business.
Yeah.
This it's the nature of the game you're in.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of companies who are very reluctant and also that's the place where also investors prey on. So I understand why they're reluctant, but the minute you step into the space and you're a startup founder, you have to realize when you start, you're going to have 100% of your company, but when you finish, you might have 1% of your company, and that's okay. That's the game. No investor is going to come to your company and say, Mimi, I want 1% and give you $100,000. Hiyo haijawahi kutokea. They're going to want a chunk of your money. And depending on what stage your company, your startup, your fundraising is, kama unaanza, unajua kuna stages, kuna zile pre-seed, seed, series A, squeeze, mpaka series D, E. Kila part of that stage, you're giving up a chunk of your company. But you have to go in this startup game knowing that this is going to happen. As much as people want to hold on to a lot of their company, then you that's why they complain there's no funding. Funding's equal. There's going to want some of your company, but not everyone is willing to understand that. And that is usually what I've seen the biggest push and pull between startup founders and investors. Investors wanakuja wanakwambia, yes, I'm going to invest in, maybe I want a certain percent of your company. And a lot of companies, okay, let me backtrack. A lot of startup founders do not understand the value of their company. Let's just start there.
Okay.
Sijui my company sasa hivi hata ukija ukinipa investment, what is the valuation based on? Unataka kunipa shilingi $200,000, let's say, for 10% of my company. But 10%, you have to be able to calculate what that at 100%, what is my value of my company?
Because at 210 is million.
But startup founders wengi tunataka our companies to be valued higher. Tunataka sisi we are valued at $5 million. That your company is maybe at $500,000. Sasa tunafikaje, how do you quantify your value ili umpe yule founder a chunk of your money, of your company, ili kufika in that stage? We struggle a lot there. So you find a lot of investors. We've seen a lot of investors wanakuja wanasema Tanzanian companies ticket size zao ni ndogo sana. Because wao wameshaangalia valuation ya kampuni yako, wamesema valuation yako labda ni $500,000. Wao unasema ni $2 million, sawa? Wao wanakuambia $500,000. For them to come in Tanzania and invest in you kwenye $500,000, that's the value of a company. So if they want 10%, they're talking about $50,000. That's a small ticket. Cost ya wao kuileta hela in the country and hata kuitoa baada ya kuinvest, it does not make sense for them. There's a lot of miscommunication between what a lot of companies believe startups investors are looking for and what investors are actually looking for. That communication bado is still very challenging. Starting with valuation, going to the equity, giving out your equity into a company, even as far as the roadmap to making your... So investor akija kwenye kampuni yako, yes, atataka a chunk of your company, but they're also going to want to help control your company. They're going to want some sort of control in your kweli. A lot of...
We don't want money. Yeah.
I think unaelewa ni kama unaenda kuinvest kwenye kiosk pale, unataka ukielewe kiosk nafanyaje, nataka kuona black book yako, unatengenezaje hela, unakopesha wangapi, you know? But in the startup space, we kind of want tuache tufanya biashara the way we want it to be, tunataka wenyewe, utuamini tu, tutaleta hela. No investor is going to give you money for that. They're going to want to have some sort of control. They want to be able to trust that you can do what you say you're going to do, and you have to do what you say you're going to do. So baadaye unabadilika, unasema, unajua nilikuwa nataka kufanya vile, lakini I thought this business makes sense. That's not what you plan to do. He's already risked this much money in you. So there's a lot of miscommunication between these two entities. And it becomes harder for investors to really come into the market and really support a lot of startups. I've seen that from the funds that we've helped create, because they're trying to look for a certain kind of companies. Those companies need 1, 2, 3 Tanzanians. We don't build companies looking at investor who's coming to invest. We're just building companies for building companies, because we want to create employment, we want to sustain ourselves. Tunatengeneza biashara kwa ili tujiendeleze. But an investor is coming to a company for a strategic reason. So there's a huge gap pale. And you hear a lot of investors want to compare. There are no credible startups in Tanzania. And you're like, they're everywhere. But it's not the companies that meets the criteria you'll invest and you look for. So I'm always straddling the two because I'm on both sides. So you're telling the startups, I know you're creating a business and it's making sense, but if you want to attract this capital,
you have to think about
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They need this. And who you start company, investor pia unamwambia, yes, if this is what the companies in Tanzania are at. If you want to invest, this is what you have to help support to build. But it's just that communication sometimes I don't say it's missing, we're bypassing each other. But wapo, there's actual companies who are really doing great things. So it's just startups to develop, tujiongeze kidogo, tufike to the caliber where we can actually be attractive. When your money goes where money is loved and respected and grows.
Yes.
Money is like, if you treat money like a human being, money goes where it's loved, it's respected, there's loyalty. So if you leo na idea moja kisha unabadilika, that's no loyalty. If you're not building, you're not growing. So if you treat money like that, I think maybe, well, hopefully there will be more support coming.
Silly question. Do you think money loves you?
Karibu kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.
Oh, money loves me. I'd like to think so.
It's a good thing to think.
I think I'll create a conducive environment for money to be comfortable.
Around you.
I hope so.
I hope so. Is it safe to say, kwamba, if you're a startup founder and you want to attract funding, you have to be willing to pay the price for it, or just stop trying to attract it? Figure out another way. Because you don't have to be funded for your business to work.
Yes.
However, there are benefits of being funded because, it's a cash injection into your business, and sometimes it comes with capacity. Cindy?
I think it depends on the nature of your business.
Okay.
And what you want to come out of it, what you want the business to, how you want to grow your business. The reason why people go for investments and funding is because a lot of the times the businesses, for it to really scale and grow, there is some sort of investment. Either you need to build an infrastructure, you need to build a machinery, you need to invest in a lot of things, and that's a huge capital. Why they call startups a young people's game is because it's for you to be innovative and disruptive and be risk-taking. It's a young people's game. For the lack of a better word, mama yangu akianza kusema na create startup hapa anaweza kaanguka na pressure kesho akishaona how tumultuous it is. So it's a young, is the word?
It's a big word, yeah.
It almost did not come out right. But so it's for the lack of a better word, it's a young people, ni sport ya young people, because you can take risks, you have time, and that's why a lot of young people are really experimenting in this space. Now, with that comes a disadvantage. Not all of us as young people have so much money to spare. Not all of us have the capital that it needs to really drive this company or the experience. And part of this is where the investment comes in. So investment does not have to come in front of money, in form of money. It can come in form of technical support, technical assistance, the right advisors in your board. That's investment. That's very vital. A lot of startups don't really contextualize that. One, a very prominent member in your board who has network connections and experience is probably even more valuable than the money. But they're not coming for free.
Yeah.
And you have to realize what you're lacking and where and how you can get what you need. And once you realize that, it's a very self-realization process as a young person. Because once you know that, then you know where to go and what to give, because you know what you need to build your company. So, I mean...
I like where you're going. And you're actually preempting my next question. So we have a segment of the show called Injia Boxing. And ideally, with kwenye hicho kipengele, we kind of really, really zero in on something that would be an area of your expertise. And for instance, today, what we wanted to talk about is just raising money.
Okay.
Right? If you are a startup, you have an MVP, or you don't even have a minimal viable product, you just have an idea, and you want to position yourself, you want to position yourself to attract funding, the right kind of funding that can enable you to build that product and scale in ways that are manageable, but, ambitious as well.
Yeah.
How do you position yourself to raise the kind of money you're looking for?
This is a very layered question. First of all, what kind of startup are you creating? Is it tech-driven? Is it traditional? Because all that killer aspect of a startup, no matter the sector or the modality of how or your business model, has a whole different layer of investors interested in that space.
Right.
So before any of it, I would say, first off, really, really understand what sector, what startup, what sector, what business model you're in, and identify who is even interested in that space. You could find a lot of these call for applications coming from all over, and then you'd see everybody apply with any business they have, and not realizing who you wanatafuta a climate smart solution, that climate mitigation adaptation solution. Hata kama you're in agriculture, hata kama you're in whatever sector, but if you can contextualize your idea in a way that meets what they need and what they want. If you don't, you're already missing the point.
Yeah.
So that first is to really...
So apply to Limbradi.
Unaweza uka-apply... This is where tough love comes in now. Because I can say unaweza uka-apply, but realistically speaking, for the experience, I'd tell people just apply everywhere for the experience.
Okay.
So you can learn how these applications are done. It's a skill, you're sharpening. You hear these grant writers wanakwambia mimi I write grants for a living. It's a skill. Because those are the 10,000 hours. Because the next time they come to your company and write a grant for you, it's a done deal. It's not for the one grant. They've written 1,000 grants before you. So there's that skill you need to perfect, because talking to an investor is a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's for some companies, you can see them like we spent a whole year talking to investors. It's a full-time job. Second is, okay, I lost track of the question again.
Positioning yourself for funding.
Position yourself for funding.
So first, understand the space you're in so that you can also be more purposeful with regards to which kinds of applications or sources to apply for.
I think the second should be understanding your business. So I look at it from this perspective. If I'm an investor, I probably review 1,000 applicants a week, or 100 or even more a week. So I might not know your business, but I might know something of your business because I've seen so many of your kind of businesses. Yes. A lot of companies will be like, no, but I'm special. I'm like, no, you're not special. There's a lot of and ideas. I keep saying idea is just an idea.
Yeah.
1,000 people can have your same idea and write to these guys, but it's how you have contextualizes how you're going to implement your idea and how you're going to see it through, that you make that investor believe that you are the right person for this.
So what's the secret there? Is it your ability to sell? Is it context?
I think they buy into your belief of...
So they buy into the founder as well.
Honestly, I think it's 80% about the founder. Because I can... And I've seen this in maybe through Adanian and also these other, but you've seen companies have similar ideas, maybe 5 ideas, similar. But I trust this guy to do what he says he's going to do. Not only because he comes and puts in a suit and says the nice words and the fancy words like tumultuous or something, but they really have thought this through. They've pulled strengths from what they have and what they bring to the table and applied it in a way that only they can make this work. So for 8 out of 9 times, an investor really invests in you. But and then it comes your idea, because they believe you're the only person who can execute this idea. And now they go to, okay, are you working well with the team? Can you work? Do you have the right team? Do you know your strengths? And do you know what you're not good at? Can we add? That's what the investor does. They'd be like, okay, can I add people to your team?
So the takeaway there is what? Is know your business?
Know yourself first and know your business.
Okay.
Very, very well.
Yeah.
Because then, even when because the investor does not believe you have everything, they will come to you and they will tell you, and you can be frank with them and be like, listen, this is what I'm good at and this is what I've done. If you give me this money, I need 1, 2, 3. And they will trust that because you at least know where you're... Umejitambua, umejielewa, umejielewa where you're strong and where you're not strong. And you're willing to get help. A lot of people will be like, yes, I want money, but leave me alone. It's hard. It's tough.
Okay. Is there anything else?
I will speak from the social enterprise, social entrepreneur perspective, the impact investor.
Okay.
And because this is currently what we're really battling with.
For anyone who would be interested, when you say we, you mean?
Okay, so I currently we have created these funds with the Embassy of Switzerland, and this Daraja Impact Fund, which is an innovative impact fund that invests in social enterprises. And we talked about these impact social entrepreneurs. And also we have a climate change window that is also investing in entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, but their solutions have a way of mitigating and adapting to these climate change problems that we have facing the world.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of companies are, I don't want to say failing, but struggling. An impact investor is going to want to track their impact. Ukiniambia leo unasaidia wamama 20 kupata hela kutoka from poverty, wanaanza kutengeneza hela about 10% more than what they used to make. I need you to actually track it. I need you to actually have the metrics that tracks it. How are you tracking this? Kabla sijaanza walikuwa wanafanya hiki. Walikuwa demographic yao iko hivi. It's called impact measurements and management systems, ambazo a lot of companies, we don't build for that. Tunatengeneza biashara, tunatengeneza for kujiendeleza wenyewe. But if you're really trying to target an impact investor, there's this impact matrices that you need to apply. We want to see the numbers. We want to see the actual hard figures to say that kweli kama unatengeneza renewable energy, we want to see umesave carbon kiasi gani. I've seen a lot of investments that are coming in. They're looking for impact, to invest from an impact perspective, and they're failing to find companies because companies either they think we're not ready, but it's because we're not tracking what we're doing. We don't have the data. We don't have the data. We're not analyzing the data or synthesizing the data for that investment, for that investor.
Is it expensive to make it? Or to collect the data? Au ni sisi tu hatujajifunza na hatujajipanga?
I think it's the latter. Kujifunza na kujipanga kwamba we just don't build our businesses for that, so we don't believe from day one we need to start tracking that.
Okay.
Tunajua tunatrack tunatengeneza shilingi ngapi, lakini hatutrack yule mama alikuwa anatengeneza 200,000, sasa hivi anatengeneza 600,000. That's impact. That's valuable data.
Sasa anajenga, sasa hivi ana gari, sasa hivi anasomesha, sasa hivi.
Yes. Yule investor anayekuja anataka kujua nikikusaidia wewe uko wapi kwanza sasa hivi, and then if I give you this money, how many of these people can you help in this same way? And how do you track this? So we've seen a lot of investors really back away from the space because they're like, inabidi wa inject more money for technical assistance kusaidia a lot of startups waanze kutrack. And that's the part where we're trying to help more startups waanze kutrack his investments in the impact they're making, so that hizi hela zikija zipo, but they need to go with, again, trusted, loved, understood, loyal. Mm-hmm. So we need to make startups resilient in that way and adaptive and agile ili waweze kujua, for at least if they're targeting these impact investors, wanataka kweli prove your impact. Just prove it to us. Nionyeshe your numbers. And actually it helps you because the world is going in that direction now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to save the world.
Yes.
Climate change is a big thing right now.
Yes.
But numbers have to make sense. You have to show us. You can say, jana nilisaidia mama 200, leo niko 400. Ehe, wako wapi? So if you don't have that, then we can't trust you by your words. So it's tough. But
I want to touch on trust and loyalty.
Yes.
As somebody who is an entrepreneur yourself, we spoke a little bit about being flexible with the way you're running things, because that's also a challenge for most founders. Anakuwa mgumu kubadilisha idea yake.
Yeah.
But isn't that also like a really good quality in a founder? Company mgumu kubadilisha idea yake.
You have to know when.
How? How do you know?
So there's a case to be made where there's companies who really stuck their guns, wakabaki to their model and wakatoboa.
Yeah.
But simply just like how there are unicorns in the market, it's not everyone. Sio kila mtu. Intuitively, wewe kama entrepreneur unajua kuna saa ingine unajua hapa stoboy. Hii kitu I make sense. I've faced that. I've had that.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you. An investor can come and tell you this strategy does not work, but they can only advise you. Still, whereas the founder, you're the one who's on the driving seat. So you really have to kind of honestly be honest with yourself and be like, this is not going to work. Or for it to work, it's going to take so much money, which I don't have. So technically, it's not going to work. You need to pivot. There's things where you can be ukavishikilia kama I'm not letting them go. Kama this is my target audience. Sema your approach maybe is different. So before you even let it go, maybe try different approaches. I like pilots. This is the thing I think I've realized with Pherma. I liked pilots. Mini pilots. Ndogo ndogo tu ambazo. I want to test that theory. Kwa mimi nitafanyaje au acha the main business iendelee. I will set up a certain fund on the side to experiment hii kitu hapa. If it makes sense, then we start deploying the full force of the company to operate it. I'll give you an example. To Wanza Pherma, we wanted to also secure wakulima to waunganishe na masoko. So we set up Pherma Market. I still think it's a brilliant idea, but time-wise, we needed to pivot. Tukasema, because we were dealing with crops, tukasema to sign up mamalishe. Mamantilie wale mtaani, wanahitaji mchele, wanahitaji unga. I guess this is a business idea to anyone who's trying to do it. It's amazing. It's just, it was away from our core business model. So we thought it was derailing us from our core. So tukasema, kwa sababu tunasaidia wakulima, tukiwasaidia kupata masoko, inawasaidia kuwa sustain na kubuild loyalty na wao, kwamba tuko hapa pamoja naye, tunaongeza masoko. Tuka run a pilot. And we started with, I think it was 5 mamalishes. What we did wrong, it's part of the failure again, is we didn't take stock tulivyoanza pale mwanzoni and could realize it makes sense, but these are the challenges, this. The pilot made sense, but we didn't really understand. To kind of scale up, we went to 300 mamalishes. You'd think that's a success. You're now servicing 300 mamalishes, but now you have to manage 300 mamalishes. It became super hard and it derailed us from the core business model of what we wanted to do. And now we were not able to sustain it. So that pilot was successful in a way. It proved us that this model can work, but we didn't take stock. Okay, so it worked, but why did it work? Why would it work in our business model? And then later on, when it erupted on us, after we had 300, we were like, aha, this is where that pilot, we could have stopped there and just analyze and understand. So mini pilots help you to test theories. Not every theory you have to embody it in your business model from day one and like run it. You test it, you see it works, you understand why it works for you. How can it work at scale? And do you need it? Should you do it? Not everything that feels it's doable, you should do it. But if we had taken stock there, I think tungerealize tunahitaji sijui microfinance ije tusupport kwenye kulona mama, yani ingekuwa process ingekuwa we've had, but that would have derailed us from our core business model.
So basically date your own ideas.
Date. Oh, I like that. Date them. Take them on dinner.
India.
Come back, analyze. I like this about them. I don't like this. If I date them for 10 days, tutafika wapi? And then, do I want to go ahead with this? If you do, embody it in your business model.
Awesome. Daniella, this has been a blessing.
Man, so fast.
Msasa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was nervous. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Karibu kwenye Msasa, where we talk to successful people about failure.